All right. What's going on, guys? It is John Fibonacci. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is our second stream that we've done with a guest. I have Jenna here for you guys. Welcome, Jenna. Are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me just make sure that the chat can hear you as well. And I'll turn on my other camera as well. Give me just a second, because I think that should be good. What's good, everyone?
Hi guys. It's a bit like I'm kind of looking at Zoom. I can't really see what's going on the YouTube. So.
Oh, okay. Do you have the chat pulled up or no?
Not for YouTube. Can I wasn't sure if I can do that. Can I go to YouTube while I'm on Zoom? Will that interfere with anything?
I'm not sure, but
I'll just leave.
Yeah, if you don't want, if there's a question, then I'll ask. But it sounds like they can hear you. Blaze says we can hear y'all. What's up, everyone? All right, cool. So, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. Excited
Oh.
to do this, something different other than my normal trade calls, which is exciting.
No, yeah, for me too. I usually don't do psychology calls. I think I have a video coming out. It was either today or tomorrow. It's a psychology call, but you know, I haven't done one of those in quite a while. But when it comes to trading psychology, I know that SJ is really big into that. Same with Mike Miles, of course, and I know you are as well. So it's been some time since you and I have did a class or did a stream together. So I'm definitely excited that you're here as well.
Thank you. Me too. I'm excited to get into some brain food. That's what I call it. It's my favorite. I think trading psychology and personal development in the trading space is my favorite part. Just that work alone, for sure.
Okay, so we'll start off with that then. How important do you think psychology or trading psychology is in trading or any endeavor, business, relationships, anything like that? How important is psychology in those things?
It's the most important. And before I get into the nitty-gritty of like my experience and education and mentorship in that regard, I'm not by no means a licensed psychologist or anything like that. I believe the trading psychology space and personal development space is also, in my opinion, all self-taught, obviously through market experience and really learning about yourself and things like that. Obviously, if you do have a psychology degree, bonus for you, but I just want to make that disclaimer. But it is the most important thing when it comes to trading, and I would say as an entrepreneur in general, having your psychology in check. And I don't mean like psychology having to go to a therapist every week or whatever. I just mean being able to manage your emotions, control your thoughts, have the self-awareness to call yourself out on your own bullshit as well, is super important. Otherwise you just begin to stay stagnant. So that's something that I learned early on, and I always say this to my students, is the psychology side of trading is never mastered. It's only managed. So for anybody coming into the trading psychology side of things, which is 90% of the skill set, please don't take that lightly. It is, I would even say 95% of the skill set. It is only ever managed. It's never mastered, because we're human beings. Like, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have bad days. We're going to, get things wrong. Not everything is going to be perfect, and you shouldn't be focused on perfection. You should just be focused on progression, especially in trading, because at the end of the day, the markets are your biggest teacher. But if you don't have your trading psychology and personal development as a priority, you're going to learn nothing.
Right. No, absolutely. And that was one gem here in the first 10 minutes or so. You said that not to focus on perfection, but to focus on improvement. So that's definitely a gem worth writing down. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us try to do. We try to perfect the entries, perfect the exits. We try to perfect the emotional side of it, right? We want to just only make money. We don't want to lose it. We want things to be just precise. We want to be in control, in other words. And the reality is that a lot of what happens in the market, we actually don't control. So there's like you said, there's just never going to be that perfect trade, or I've taken a couple of perfect trades, but it's like 1% of 1%, so it's like day to day, there's always going to be that room that we could have done more, we could have felt better, we could have did this and that. And so I would think that it's harder for beginner and intermediate traders to understand that, because let's talk about social media for a second, because everyone's big on social media now, and we show, and we even call it this in a trade house, right? The social media entry, you know, and we post these entries or exits and stuff like that. And I think it gives traders, new traders, the wrong idea of what trading actually is. So here's the question: when it comes to social media, do you think that social media, the trading community, can potentially hurt new aspiring traders?
Absolutely, if they get into the wrong hands. Yeah, absolutely. And that is a big reason why I slowed down on posting, you know, my screenshots of my. I'll do it every now and again of my trades and things like that, because it's everyone wants to post their wins, but nobody will post what they did to get that. Do you know what I mean, so to speak?
Right.
And that's why I was noticing, obviously, doing this since 2018, and yeah, if you go to my Instagram, you can see my journey documented from 2018. There's a paper trail of my trading journey of how I've got to where I am now. But in doing that, like with social media, like you said, people do only see, you know, those sniper entries and things like that, and think that's what they have to do every time, and that means if they don't get those entries, then they're not good enough, or whatever they tell themselves, or they don't realize, you know, we've had to take a few losses before that trade came, and that risk to reward cancelled out those losses. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Just because we're posting, you know, our winning trades doesn't mean we haven't taken losses prior to those winning trades, because if you're an actual trader and understand trading, it's about risk to reward. It's not about winning every trade, and that's never in my mind. So I do feel like the social media side of things does set a false pretense of what trading is like, and how easy it can be, and things like that. And it can also shake people's confidence if, you know, their entries are slightly different to an educator's, or things like that, or they don't, you know, they miss that trade, or whatever the case may be. It's all psychology. Telling. So but what I say to my students is that you can have everything right. You can have everything right and still be wrong. So if you can't accept that, then this isn't the industry for you. Because you can have everything right, as in a textbook trade setup, following your plan, risk management, all of that good stuff, like chef's kiss of the trade idea that comes up. And believe me, I come across so many chef's kiss trade ideas, and sometimes they don't play out. Like there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing that I could have done to control the outcome of that. So you can have everything right and do everything right and still be wrong. So if you can't accept that the markets are always right, you're going to have a very hard time, and you're going to have an even harder time if you don't prioritize your trading psychology and personal development.
Yeah, and that's another gem as well. You said the market is always right, you know. So when we take a trade and it's a winning trade, it's not that we were right. It's just we were in alignment with the market, or we were in alignment with smart money, you know, and all that. So sorry. So real quick before we continue, I shared a couple weeks ago, or whenever it was, a couple days ago probably, I don't know, but I shared the core reading recommendations. I know you said that you can't see the YouTube, but there's just 3 books that are core reading recommendations, which is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, and Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. So I just flashed that up there for you guys so you can take a screenshot or whatever the case. But I wanted to show you guys this real quick since we're on the topic of social media and trading psychology. So I have in front of you Stillness is the Key. Okay. And on page 30, there's a chapter and it's called Limit Your Inputs. And there's a quote by Herbert Simon that says, "A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention." So I really like that because, you know, usually when we get on social media, we find trading communities like Twitter or Instagram or Telegram, Discords, there's hundreds of thousands of trading communities, right? And I feel like that's what happens to young traders when they come in. They see everybody just doing anything, right? This person's trading that, or their style is this, their style is that. This person's longing euro, but this other person's shorting euro. Like, what do I do? I'm missing out and all that. So I guess really the only antidote that I can think of is really to just, like the book says, to limit your inputs, which just means get out of there, like shut off the social media when you're in front of the charts. I mean, like a trading buddy or two might be okay, but being connected to like a large community sometimes, I personally think, can be detrimental to younger traders. So during the day, I'm usually not on social media like a lot, or I'm not, trying to see what other people are doing. And if I do, it's only to take the opposite side. Now, I've only been doing that, since like year 5 or 6. But that was year 5 or 6, John. That wasn't like first year, second year, third year, John, So I guess all in all, I'm saying, don't stay on social media if it's limiting your growth. Everyone has an opinion, and we all know the other side of that statement. So anyways, coming back. Sorry, go ahead.
That's right. I think to add to that is put it this way: the only real reason people are going to be influenced by what other people are doing is because they don't trust their own analysis. Mm-hmm. They don't trust themselves, and they also don't accept the probabilistic environment of the markets. They're trying to control the outcome. They're trying to be right. You can be right, you just can't expect to be right, as Mark Douglas says. And if you don't really understand that statement, that's where you're going to fall short, right? Mm-hmm. So, it is obviously the newbies that do get influenced by, the shiny object syndrome, jumping from, strategy to strategy and all of that stuff, and copy and pasting and things like that, and hoping to find the quick route. And there is just no quick route when it comes to being a disciplined trader and developing consistency from that. And developing consistency as a trader is ongoing. It's not like, okay, you've got consistency, that's it. It's an ongoing thing, because the market conditions change. It's, like I said, it's a probabilistic environment. So to maintain your consistency, you have to keep putting in the work. You can't, and this is what I say to my students as well. It's like for example, if you're trying to get funded, okay, you get funded, you've done everything to get funded, but now you're funded, you're stopping the work because now you're funded. That's not how it works. That's how you're going to lose the account, because you're not doing what you did to get the account, to keep the account, and to grow the account. So there's so many different levels to this, and each level requires a different level of psychology and personal development. So there's so many factors that go into it, and being influenced like by the social media side of things is really coming down to, one, you don't trust yourself, either in the markets as far as you don't know what you're doing, you actually don't know the skill set side of things and you need more education in that, or you just don't have your trading psychology and personal development down pat, and you don't trust your analysis and don't trust yourself in a probabilistic environment, and you really haven't accepted the risk of that, or having the understanding of true risk to reward. And if you do truly understand risk to reward, there's nothing really scary about trading. If you understand risk to reward and you know what you're doing in the markets, there's nothing really scary about it, because it's just a matter of letting the markets do what they need to do and you just following your plan. And it's very much easier said than done, hence why the work is in the psychology, to be able to keep it easier each time as far as following the plan.
Right, absolutely. And that's one thing that nobody really talks about is, like, so when funding companies first came out, personally, I thought it was really great, and I'm not gonna put on for any specific company, but I like the idea of funding companies, right? You pay a little bit of money, you pass a challenge, you get access you know, to someone else's money that you can trade, you know. And I've had multiple students funded that were personal students of mine. One of them was just recently in an FTMO article, which I sent out in an email. If you guys don't, if you're not signed up to that email, if you look in the description at the bottom, it'll take you to that link. You can sign up for the free email. I just sent out one earlier today, actually, and if we have time, I'll read that to you guys. But back to what I was saying with the FTMO or my Forex funds or any of these companies. Again, I'm not putting on for any specific one, but out of all of them, the reality of funded accounts is that we see people get funded, right? We see the posters or the flyers, and now they come with QR codes, you know, because, you know, Photoshop and all that. But the thing that nobody really wants to mention, or they don't mention as often, is that a lot of people get funded. It's true, a lot of people get funded, but the problem is they don't stay funded. You know, they burn the account quickly, or something to that effect. And some people on Twitter, they do share that they got funded and then they lost it, or I lost my second account and stuff like that. And I think those people are great. I love the transparency. But let's be honest, the majority of the trading community is not that transparent. So I'm not really sure, you know, what specific cause that is for people, but I think you're very close to it. You know, you said people do the work and all these things to the point where they get the account, but then, you know, what do they do after that? Are they going to keep the account, or are they just going to say, well, I made it, you know, I finally made it. I finally got access to all this money. So now the work is done. The weight is off my shoulders. I can relax now. And that's what I think trips people up too.
And I'm here to tell you it's the complete opposite. The work starts when you're funded. Like it's a total. There's so many different layers to the psychology side of trading, and this is a big reason why I did create my course, because I kept having the same thing pop up with students of mental and emotional burnout because they're spending so much time on the charts and they put in all this time and work and effort and they're not seeing consistency in this. And the first question I ask them, have you been prioritizing trading psychology and personal development? No. Nearly every time the answer is no. And like Mark Douglas says, the consistency you seek is in the mind, not the markets. So I created my course based on something that, like, from a perspective of what I would have wanted and needed when I first started, you know, to break down the trading psychology and build onto that, right? That's why I did it, because there was a demand for it. Now, when you're going through the funding phase, right, of the challenge, that's one level of psychology, right? Then you get the verification, that's another level of psychology. Then you get the funding, and that's a whole different level of psychology. So if you're not constantly working on yourself to develop yourself to meet and maintain those levels of success, you're not going to keep them, because if you don't believe you're worthy of them deep down, it's not going to stay. So like if you've never obviously come into that amount of money before and things like that, there's a whole different level of psychology in that expense of your money story and things like that. Hence why SJ, my co-founder of Trade House Australia, for those that don't know, we're the co-founders of Trade House Australia, you know, created her money course, because she saw the demand of what people were doing with their money when they got funded, when they were trading, and how they were using their risk because of their bad money story. And then you've got the psychology on top of that. So there's so many different elements that people don't talk about when it comes to trading. And that's, I guess that comes back to the social media side of things, the hype around trading, making easy money and things like that. It's the quickest way to make easy, SJ says it better. It's the hardest way to make easy money. But
SJ,
once
if you're in the chat, you can put it in the chat.
You do it, it then becomes like second nature. But there's so many different elements to trading. It's not just the charts. The charts are, guys, I can't stress this enough. The charts are literally 5% of the job. Like I could teach my son to mark up a chart and do, identify my 6Ws and locate everything he needs to enter a trade. The chart work and analyzing the markets is the easy part. Believe it or not, I know they look scary if you've never done trading before and things like that, but believe it or not, that is the easy part, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's just rinse and repeat. You're just looking for the same thing over and over again, right? Creating your trading plan, documenting your trades, journaling, all of that. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. The work is here. And that's where everyone lacks, because they try so hard to convince themselves that they're going to find the answers in the market. I don't know. Okay, I'm not getting consistency, so I'm going to go and watch more videos. I'm not getting consistency, so I'm going to take the trade that Jenna calls, or the trade that John calls, or the trade that Jordan calls, or whoever, things like that, because they know what they're doing. There's so many. All of that is your psychology. Whereas if your psychology was managed, you would be able to pull yourself back, be self-aware of what's going on and your own self-sabotage with the markets, and unpack everything to be able to move forward in a disciplined way. Being able to say, it's not a trading day for me. Being able to say confidently, this doesn't meet my criteria, so I'm not going to trade it, irregardless if Jenna sees something, irregardless if John sees something, irregardless if Jordan sees something, irregardless if SJ's in a trade, or whatever the case. You have to be disciplined enough to say no. Because at the end of the day, it's you and the markets. It's not me, you, John, and the markets. What are you doing when we're not educating and mentoring you? That's where the work is.
Right.
Because you can show up to our calls and be like, tell us what we want to hear. That's great. But you're the one that has to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day. Are you doing that work? Are you showing up as a disciplined trader? Are you journaling your trades? Are you following your plan? Are you prioritizing your trading psychology and personal development? Do you even know what that is? Do you even know how that applies to trading? Like at some point you have to take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, everyone wants to blame the markets, everyone wants to blame the educators, everyone wants to blame everyone else, but without looking in and saying, hang on, I'm the one that's doing the work. We can hold your hand, but we can't do the work for you. We can create, like courses like we have. Same for you. Your book, your technical analysis book, you created that because you saw a demand for it. People were struggling, so you did it. I saw a demand for the trading psychology course, so I created it. SJ sees the demand for a money mindset because of how toxic our money beliefs are, especially with the world we live in. But if you're not going to apply what you're learning, we can't help you.
Absolutely. No, and I appreciate you bringing up my book too, because even though it's a technical analysis book, there is one chapter on trading psychology, and at the end there's the letter to the young, or the letter to the struggling trader, so hopefully you guys have that already. If you haven't, you guys can get that in the link as well. And real quick before we continue, guys, if you've got some value today, go ahead and give the video a like. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already subscribed. I know SJ was saying that she can't comment because you got to be subscribed to the channel for at least 24 hours before you can comment. But she did end up sending me a message on Instagram, and she said, trading is the hardest way of making easy money.
She always says it better. I always get it mumbled.
Yeah. But it's true though. I mean, the money is easy. I mean, losing it is easy, making it is easy. It's just we make it hard, or we self-sabotage. I know you talked briefly about self-sabotage, so I do want to talk about that for just a minute. So this whole idea of self-sabotage, right, where it's like we try so hard not to do something that's what we end up doing, right? And so when it comes to like deep-rooted issues or problems like from childhood that we carry with us as adults and stuff like that, I think that's important. what I also think is important is forgiveness. And this is one thing I try to talk about way more often than I have been over the years. But forgiveness, to me, it comes there's two reasons, right? So forgiveness is really about forgiving others, but it's also about forgiving yourself, right? Because sometimes, we might not be a very hateful person. We might be, oh, this person's loving and caring and all that. Okay, that's what you see on the outside, but you don't see what's on the inside. They might love everybody else, they might take care of everybody else, but maybe inside, maybe they hate themselves, or maybe they are frustrated with themselves. They think, oh, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I blew however many trading accounts and all these things. And so they might on an internal level feel that they're not worthy of success or not worthy of winning trades, or something like that. So when it comes to forgiveness for yourself, and for other people, what would you say in that regard?
I think, like, obviously everybody has their own opinion when it comes to forgiveness, but I think a big thing that is very important is, I think forgiving yourself is super important. And sometimes that can be hard to do. So, I have my own beliefs with forgiveness. That's like not trading related, but yeah, it's a touchy subject for me. But as far as forgiveness with myself, I've been learning more and more to do that. And I also put it down to, even if you don't maybe consider it as forgiving yourself, giving yourself grace to make mistakes, to learn, to get back up. And something that, I always, try and say to myself, especially like I said, guys, whether you are educated and mentored by myself, John, SJ, Jordan, whoever within Trade House, if you wouldn't, like we're not perfect. We don't have everything, tick, 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 tick. We have shit going on behind the scenes. We have bad days. We take losses. It's not fucking flowers and rainbows over here 24/7, right? So don't get that twisted. But what we do know how to do is keep going. What we do know how to do is get back up. What we do know how to do is have that self-awareness. And when we can't, we know we need to take time and figure out why, right? And giving, again, ourselves grace to feel what we need to feel, make mistakes, learn from them, ask questions, remain a student. I think that's a big thing. SJ and I do preach that all the time. We're always a student of the market. It's literally my disclaimer before I start my trading calls. I always have a disclaimer that I do, and part of that is I'm always a student of the market, because that's how we learn and continue to grow. There's that side of it, so giving yourself grace for that. And also, everybody has their limit. So I say this as well, it doesn't matter how much, John, we say don't do that, right? Don't over leverage, don't jump from this to that to the other, don't do this, don't do that. It doesn't matter how many times we tell you not to do something. That's going to do nothing for you. You're going to learn on your own, right? Me personally, I have a very, I don't know what personality type this is, as you probably know, but if someone tells me not to do something, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to do it. So in the beginning, like when I was a beginner trader, I would always be told, don't over leverage, don't do this, you'll blow your account, da-da-da. So what did I do? I over leveraged, blew accounts. But it wasn't until the pain, right, of not changing hurt more than the pain of blowing accounts did things change. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So that's what it's going to be for everyone. Some people might be one and done. Some people have a personality of, oh, I'm not going to do that. She said not to do that. Kudos to you. That's not me. But everybody has their own level of threshold, their pain threshold. So until that is hit, nothing we say I'll do will change them. They'll have everything they need, but it's only when they're ready and when they've had enough of their own bullshit. And the pain of staying the same hurts more than just changing what they need to change and fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it came down to for me. So grateful I learned quickly, but I still did you know, all the mistakes, and I don't regret them at all, because it was all learning for me. So there's that side of it too. So if you are in that in between thing of finding yourself doing the same thing over and over again, if you're doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results, obviously the definition of insanity, but you keep doing it, it's only because you haven't hit your threshold yet. You haven't hit your threshold. The pain of getting the same results and doing the same thing over and over again doesn't hurt you enough. So when you hit that threshold is when you'll know, because it'll just click. You'll just say, enough is enough. I can't handle this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Something needs to change, and that's when it'll do it. It won't be because of something John said. It won't be because of something I said. It won't be because of something SJ said. It'll be because the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of changing.
There you have it. So speaking about
and apply it.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking about that moment, right, where the pain of staying the same and all that, like what was that for you? Like, was there that defining moment where whatever it was, you were like, all right, this is the last time I'm gonna do this, you know, moving forward, I'll never do this and this again. I really want to be a trader or a business owner, entrepreneur, like whatever. At least in trading, what was that moment for you? Because I know that moment for me was many years ago, and I lost more money than I wanted to, you know, and that really hit on not just monetarily, but it hit like emotionally as well, because it's like, man, you fucked up, dude. Like, you fucked up. And so I know what that feels like. And so whenever I start to see the P&L, like in the risk calculator, you know, it's like, you think this is a good trade, it's like, well, just up the lot size a little bit, up the contract size, like, you know, and then it's like, no, I'm not gonna do it, because I always go back to that. It sits in my memory, you know, like, no, you're not gonna.
That pain threshold, that it's that pain of, oh, I don't want to ever feel that again. I don't want to ever go back to that place, right? Whatever that place is for you, that stops you from doing it, because it's like that trigger memory. It's like, oh no, I did that last time and it wasn't pretty, you know. And that's what it is. So for me, like, it was just at the end of the day, what it is your ego. It's your ego. That's all it is. So until you're able to put your ego aside and really actually humble yourself and be a student of the markets and actually take on board what your educators and mentors are saying, in whatever way you're obviously interpreting that and applying that, like I said, nothing's going to change. So for me, it was just a matter of, I had just hit a pain threshold. I think I called SJ crying, and I think Vargas as well, like just ready to lose my shit, because I was doing retail trading at that time, just slowly like dipping my feet into smart money back in 2000, end of 2018 to early 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had enough. Because I put in so much time and effort into the actual skill set and building myself up to be able to do this. And I had such a set goal to be out of the rat race at the end of 2019, but I kept coming to the same outcome. It was too much for me. I was just like, I've got to stop. Like, something's got to give. Like, it was small accounts, like $200 here, $100 here. That shit adds up over time. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
So, don't be thinking, oh, it's 200 here, it's 200 there. Yeah, calculate all that over how long you've been doing that, and just ignoring the fact that you're doing the same thing over and over again, because you're like, it won't happen again, it won't happen this time, it won't happen to me, I'll be the exception to the rule, I won't blow an account, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff I used to tell myself, and lo and behold. So it just got, I was just like, like you said, like, oh, I fucked up. And it's literally like that moment, it's just like, this one hurt. This one hurt. Why did this $200 hurt? I don't know, but this one hurt more than the others. And that's that defining moment of, yeah, something's got to give, this isn't working, and I'm surrounded by people that are doing it and it is working. So I need to humble myself and accept the L of I'm not an exception to the rule, and the markets have humbled me every time because I'm not trading with a plan. I'm over leveraging. I'm taking everyone else's trades. I'm not doing all of that stuff. And this happens to everybody, in my opinion. Every new trader, they get shiny object syndrome. They see everyone doing everything, like we were saying, social media, even in the big trading groups and things like that. There's pros and cons to everything. But like I said, it really just comes down to the individual and their pain threshold. And until it hits, nothing we say is going to move them. Once they are moved, then it'll start to resonate. Oh, that's what John meant. Oh, that's what Jenna meant. Oh, SJ did say that. Oh, Jordan did say that. Now it clicks, right? And as soon as I let go of a timeline of when I should be, quote unquote, successful disciplined trader, or when I should have the results, everything changed. As soon as I just let go and just accepted that I'm a student of the markets and I'm learning, everything changed. That's why I picked up the skill set so quickly. Honestly, there's no other explanation for it. That's why, because I just let go of controlling the outcome and I just was a student. And then the more that I started to understand, for me, a big thing is to teach is to learn twice. So the more that I understood, the more I started helping other people. When I saw questions in the chats and the groups and things like that of people getting stuck, I would answer them, and then I would start, and then that's how I built my reputation, becoming an educator and mentor. Like, it's literally how naturally it happened. Just me documenting what I was doing and being a student.
Right. No, absolutely. And I do remember a good portion of that. I remember the Trade House Worldwide call we did, many years ago, and some of those times, and yeah, I watched you, develop as a trader over a long period of time as well. So it's funny that you say that, because that was really the same thing that happened to me. I was online pretty much by myself, but I was calling trades, and when you're able to do that consistently, people notice. And then I started messaging Daniel. Long story short, they invited me to join Trade House. I joined, and then, like you said, you were just like helping people, messaging them, and all that, and then boom, that put me on the map as well.
The demand was there for me to get on a call, run a call, and then that's how I became a Trade House educator and co-founded Trade House Australia with SJ. So yeah, it's like because that's my favorite thing, to teach, to educate and mentor. That's what lights me up the most, being a part of other people's journeys and things like that. And I think the best part about trading, like I said, is the trading psychology and personal development. But for me, the best part is witnessing someone believe in themselves for the first time. There's nothing, I get goosebumps every time I say that, because there's nothing like more magical than seeing someone believe in themselves for the first time, that they can do it.
Yeah. And this is why. Oh shit, I think it cut out for a second. What was that last part?
No, I was just saying that, and seeing that light in their eyes from that belief in themselves for the first time, like, oh my God, like I can do this. Like I'm not stuck. I'm not going to be stuck in this job for whatever long, or, I can create multiple streams of income. Even if I love my job, that's great. You know what I mean? It's just the light bulb, the magic that just flows through them when they believe in themselves.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. And this is why Jasmine, one of my students, the one that was featured in the FTMO article, dude, I messaged the chat, I sent out an email, I posted on my Facebook, I posted on my Instagram, dude, I posted it everywhere, because it's like, it's not me at all. I specifically put in the email, like, look, this is all on her. I didn't tell her to take any of those trades, nothing like that. If anything, she's actually fairly quiet, and to me, that doesn't bother me, because now I know what she was doing, right? Because it's like, all right, she's a little quiet, but what's really going on? And then out of nowhere, bam, oh, I'm FTMO funded, I'm featured in this article. It's like, oh, okay, so she was putting in the work, and she did all of that on her own. She did all of that for herself. So when I share that, and she's not the only student of mine to get funded, I promote those things, not for me. It's not for me to look good, because I didn't have to do anything with it. I did nothing to do with that. You know, it's like, look at her, look at this student. She could do it. So if she could come in here and do it, why can't you come in here and do it? Which I would never promise. I'm not going to promise any of you are going to get funded or anything like that. Not a licensed financial advisor, no shit like that. But I'm just saying, there are people who have done it, you know, and it's like, here's the proof, you know, and that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's just, you know, posting testimonials and things like that. It's really just to document what's actually happening behind the scenes. It's really documenting and celebrating student breakthroughs and things like that. And like yourself, developing, you know, multiple six-figure funded traders and all of that stuff. We've both done it. SJ and I have developed multiple six-figure funded traders in our organization. There was a student that I had no idea was what he was doing behind the scenes, and he was 19 years old. And again, this is not like a profit disclaimer or anything like that. He was 19 years old and he only was on my sessions. Like, out of nowhere, I get a message. He was from the UK and he said, Jenna, I've just hit six figures of my own account, my own money, watching you and your sessions. I don't know how to thank you enough, blah, blah, blah. Keep doing what you're doing because you're changing lives. Out of nowhere. Like, never heard a peep from him ever. Until that message. So it, like, similar to what you were saying about the girl, there's so many students that are just head down doing the work and they just pop up out of nowhere, right? And that's why we post these things. We don't post these things to go, look at me, look what I did. Look, this is what happens when you do the work.
Oh yeah.
This is why we pour into you. This is why we do what we do, because we love it. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Results. Past profits don't guarantee future results. It's not an income claim or disclaimer or guarantee of anything.
Absolutely. So, real quick, I wanted to fit this at least within the first hour. So, let's come back to Mark Douglas for just a second. So, you know, and rest in peace, you know. But I've learned a lot from him. You know, he is a mentor of mine. I consider him a mentor. He'll always be. Every once in a while, I'll find a new YouTube video of some, you know, like recording from like the 80s or something. It's like the sound quality is terrible and the audio video is just terrible. But it's like, dude, that's Mark Douglas. You know, and it's like, all right, I'll sacrifice the sound quality for him, you know. And I have so many notes. Matter of fact, let me just show you this real quick. Well, I know I don't have the camera on for Zoom, but I'm gonna at least I'm gonna show the people real quick. So I have notes from one of his YouTube videos. It's the 4-part series on how to think like a professional trader, you know. And I made this years and years ago. I still have that. I just printed off a second copy and went through this a little bit prior to this call. And then I wanted to show you guys, obviously I already told you about stillness is the key, which I quoted earlier. And then the other two books that I have from Mark Douglas, The Disciplined Trader, which I believe was his first one. This one was a little bit harder to get through, or maybe I was just too much of a beginner to really put a whole lot of thought into it. But his most famous work, here it is, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. So if you guys have not read this book, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go pick it up today. Don't download the PDF, guys. Go buy the fucking book. You know, respect the authors, okay? And, you know, do the right thing is all I'm saying. Do the right thing. So anyways, my question for you, because I'm trying to get to the question. I sent out an email earlier today, and the subject was, who do you look up to? And I'll read you guys that email in just a second, but I want to get Jenna's perspective here. That's my question for you. Who do you look up to? Like, who are your mentors, whether it's like for trading especially, but maybe either for business or personal development or anything like that? I know if there's a lot, that's fine, but maybe like your top 3 or your top 5, who do you look up to and why?
So obviously, like as a trading mentor, as far as trading psychology and personal development, definitely Mark Douglas. I probably have my biggest breakthroughs from him, and he was a big inspiration for me to actually create my trading psychology and personal development course, and I obviously credit him in that. But it's obviously my interpretation and my experience in breaking down trading psychology and personal development in a way that I've seen help not only myself but other people when I work with them. So there's that side of it. So he's definitely probably my top mentor in that space.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, like I can just listen. I could just have him on YouTube and listen to him on repeat all day, like just. Yeah. And go back and watch his stuff and get new little nuggets that I might have missed. I don't know. It doesn't age. It's just his content is just so powerful. And as far as another person I look up to in business and personal development would be my co-founder SJ, who's also one of my best friends. I look up to her so much. Just with how I mean, if you know SJ, you know SJ. So she's definitely a big inspiration for me, and I'm grateful to be able to have her as a business partner as well. And I think we really bounce off each other really well and bring our own. Obviously, we each have value to bring to our organization, but we have our own spin to it. So it really balances nicely, and you know, I learned so much from her. I don't know if I don't know what she learns from me, but yeah, she's definitely someone I look up to as well, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. She's the reason why I got into trading. So for those of you that don't actually know my story from the beginning, how I actually started trading was when I was in working full time. I'm a single mum of 2 as well. I was working full time at the time. And I was just in a rut. I was just sick of living week to week, wishing the week away, living for the weekend, maybe hoping for a holiday here and there. Just miserable, stuck in the cycle of the 9-to-5 rat race. And I've always had the mindset, I guess, of an entrepreneur of like, there's got to be more. This can't be it. Like I'm missing something. Like I've always had those thoughts, but I've never had, I suppose, a special talent like sing or dance or act or things like that. So I've never really felt like, maybe I didn't fit into any of those categories. So I always kind of felt like I was just drifting, and I was just drifting through life because I never had a quote unquote, special out there talent. And one day, obviously projecting that energy and wanting more and looking for more and sick of being sick and tired and all of that, I was scrolling on Facebook one night and a mutual friend of SJ and mine shared her post, and I read her post. And then I literally stalked the shit out of her page and probably read every post from hers since whenever she started posting. And I messaged her and I just said, help me, I want what you have. That's all I said. Help me, I want what you have. And that's how I enrolled. And that's how I started. And then within my first year, when I started picking everything up and things were just going fast paced, that's when I said to her, I want to create Trade House Australia. Let's do this together. And that's how I got here. So if it wasn't for SJ, I wouldn't be trading. So she's definitely someone I look up to and admire. And then I suppose I just have a bunch of other people I love to listen to, just as far as in the personal development world.
Is there a special podcast or maybe book or recording?
Yeah, I do love Andy Frisella. I love his no bullshit approach. He's definitely someone that does give me motivation. I do like Andy Frisella, and I also love, what was her name? I love Mel Robbins. Don't know if you know her.
I haven't heard of her before.
Yeah, she's really good in the personal development and the mindset and the brain side of things, and really, really good at breaking things down and explaining things to you, especially if you are going through things and you are struggling with personal things and things like that. She makes it she makes you feel very seen and very understood, and that you're not, you're not alone, even though she's on the internet. But it's just her delivery. So she's really inspiring. She's really good. So yeah, there's a bunch, and then I've got like books that I love, and then all of that stuff. So anyone that I kind of just stumble upon that resonates with me, I kind of always kind of keep them around and follow them and keep them on my social media timeline. There's a bunch, but my top two, I would say, would be obviously Mark Douglas, and as far as personal development and business and just entrepreneurship, obviously would be SJ and what we do together.
All right, very nice, very nice. So well, we're almost coming up on 1 hour. I mean, I'm willing to stay longer if you want, or as long as people are willing to tolerate the both of us. But
I can just say one thing.
Go ahead.
Because people might be sick of us talking by now, who knows? But I just want to say, and I think this is super important for people to understand, being uncomfortable or in discomfort in trading is normal. Okay, and I recently heard this on a podcast. I can't remember which podcast it was, but when like this resonated with me so much, and I was able to just put things into even more perspective, not only for myself, but obviously to deliver this message to my students as well, is that being uncomfortable and experiencing discomfort in trading is very normal. So stop trying to avoid it, because you trying to avoid that discomfort is going to bring the results you're trying to avoid. And it's just basically telling you that you're not prioritizing your trading psychology and personal development, which is what we've been basically talking about this whole time. So, trying to avoid the discomfort won't make you a successful trader. It just won't. You have to embrace it and learn to cope with it, because you are in a probabilistic environment. You are in an uncertain environment. You aren't in control of the outcome. So you need to learn to be able to embrace that discomfort and roll with it, and trust yourself that you're able to manage your emotions and your psychology whilst trading, and being able to follow your plan and making sure you're journaling your trades and things like that. And if you can't, you need to have the discipline to walk away and call it a day, because no position is a position. All right. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're not prioritizing trading psychology and personal development, and you're trying to find all those answers in the charts. They're not there. We hand on heart promise you they're not there.
Yeah. I did a stream. I've done multiple streams, and even the first time that I spoke in front of a room of people, well, the room wasn't full per se, but it was an event we did here in Houston in 2021, November of 2021, and I did a very short segment on the Successful Traders Trio. And I won't dive deep into what that really is, but basically the Successful Traders Trio is like a tripod, right? Like a tripod for a camera, or a tripod for like a ring light or something to that effect, where if you have 3 legs, right, that's how a camera can stand on the ground or the desk. But if you take one of those legs away, it falls over. And so the Successful Traders Trio is your edge, which is on the charts. Yes, that's how you enter and exit the market. But the other 2 legs are your risk management, the money management, and then the trading psychology side. So for me, it's like you need all 3. You cannot have 2 or 1. It has to be all 3, or it just doesn't work. So, I'm very well known for the charts, and stuff like that. But I do want you guys to understand the importance of psychology, of trading psychology, and especially personal development. So what I'm going to do real quick for you guys is I actually want to read you the email that I sent off a little bit earlier today. So Jen, I'm going to take the zoom down for just a minute. I'll let you know when you're back up again. But I'm going to pull up the Word document that I have, and I want to read it to you guys. And again, this was sent in the email. If you guys are not signed up, it's at the bottom of the description. You go to the link, it's free. All you do is put in your email. That's it. I will never sell your information or no dumb shit like that. All right. But this was sent out earlier, and so the subject was, who do you listen to? So on the topic of personal development, this is how the email goes. Hello, readers. Out there in the world, there is someone who is smarter than us, more talented than we are, in better shape, wealthier, happier. If we look at this from a perspective of lacking, we may become jealous. If we look at this from a perspective of learning, we can become more like them. We can become better instead of bitter. You see, even the Stoics believed in emulating people, to learn to be more like other people, especially if they have the results that I want. If you guys remember, I had Siva on here a few days ago, and he said the same thing. I only want to learn from people who have what I want. Okay. Then I go on to say, it was Epictetus in the book Discourses and Selected Writings who said, it will even do to socialize with men of good character in order to model your life of theirs, whether you choose someone living or someone from the past. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who lived after Epictetus, quotes him in Meditations. Meditations is the recommended reading. But don't let this go over your head. Marcus was the most powerful and wealthy man in all of Rome. He could have anything or anyone that he wanted. He could have people exiled or killed, yet we find him learning from someone like Epictetus, who was a slave for, I think, at least half of his life. And Epictetus actually translates to Greek as acquired. So we definitely know that Epictetus was a slave. So think about that for a minute. The most powerful man in Rome was learning from someone who was a slave. That's because Marcus, I'm talking about Marcus here, that's because Marcus was a lifelong student. Even in old age, he studied and learned new things. He didn't let his position or power get to him. He didn't say, I've learned enough. His mindset was, what else can I learn? So that's my question for you this week. Who do you look up to? Who are you learning from? Social status doesn't matter. Net worth doesn't matter. Looks don't matter. What matters are the results that someone has. You can learn from anyone and everyone at any time. And then the last part is, you may wonder who I look up to. And it's a long list, just like Jenna's, but the shorter one is, I look up to Jesus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, Ryan Holiday, John Maxwell, Stephen Pressfield, Mark Douglas, the GOAT, Dave Ramsey, Thomas Stanley, and some others. And here's a simple exercise you should consider doing. And for everyone that's live on the call, I recommend you do the same thing. You could even do it right now or right after the call. This is what I want you to do. And if you have Meditations, you can look at the first part of it in book 1. This is what Marcus did. Marcus Aurelius in Meditations wrote down people he was grateful for, and he listed out what he learned from them. This can be found in the first part of the book. List out 5 or more people that you look up to. Write down why you look up to them. List 1 or more things that you've learned from them. And of course, I give you an example of the way that I did it. I look up to Jesus because of his forgiveness, his kindness, and wisdom. I look up to Marcus Aurelius for his way of thinking, the stoicism or philosophy, his advice on living a better life and not taking things so personal. I love Marcus because there's comedy in there too. It's very hard to pick up on, but Marcus is hilarious. But anyway, John Maxwell, obviously for his leadership, for connecting with people and becoming a better person. Of course, Mark Douglas, like we've been talking about, how to think like a professional trader, how to think about trading in a more analytical way. You know, Jenna said this earlier about it's not about each individual trade, it's about thinking in probabilities, and it's not individual trades, it's more of the series of trades. And the very last part, or the very last person, excuse me, is Dave Ramsey, because I love what he teaches about money, or at least most of it, but not to waste your money and to get better with money habits. So try the exercise. I think you'll find it beneficial. And then of course, have a blessed week. So that is the exercise that I have for you guys. Jenna, I'm gonna bring you back on here. So hello. But yeah, so again, if you're not signed up for the email, you can get emails like this for free. All right, so there it is. That's pretty much the last thing that I have for you guys today for this call. So Jenna, I will give you the floor for anything else that you may want to let the people know. If you want to throw in maybe 1 or 2 extra nuggets for the people before we hop off the call for tonight. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot, and as heavy as we've been on trading psychology and personal development, I don't want people to think that we're saying, oh, the chart work doesn't matter. That's not what we're saying at all. The chart work obviously is very important, but it really is only 10% of the skill as a whole. That's what we're saying. Once you understand how to mark up the charts and enter the trade, and you've created your trading plan, and you're confident in journaling and things like that, it's all psychology from that point onwards. The sooner you accept that, the better. That's what we're saying. And there's an abundance of tools to help you with that in making it a priority. And I think I honestly, I'll just leave it with, and this is for people that may be sitting on the sidelines wondering whether they should start learning to trade, or not really sure who to learn from or where to go. Obviously come to us. Trade us.
Of course.
Not to be biased or anything, but no, we are the best. But no, in all seriousness, for people that are sitting on the sidelines wondering if this is for them, something that I always say is, even though trading became my passion, and I didn't know that it was going to become my passion, and that I would end up falling in love with the skill set, but what I fell in love with more was educating and mentoring. And that's not going to be the same for everybody. Not everybody's going to come into trading and want to be an educator and mentor and go down that route. But what I say to people is, even if trading isn't your passion, I'm going to ask you, what are you passionate about? And do you get to do that a lot? Do you get to do that all the time? Or are you restricted because of your other commitments, your work, things like that, money, whatever it is? And if that is the case, and you don't get to do what you love as much as you like, then use trading as your vehicle to be able to do more of what you love. It's a vehicle. So you don't have to be passionate about trading, but be passionate that it's a vehicle for you to do more of what you love. Okay. And that's not me guaranteeing you results or anything like that. Obviously that comes down to the individual, etc. But for people that are just sitting on the sidelines, not sure whether they should start, honestly, you don't have to know. You just have to start, and the rest follows. Block out the noise and just start.
All right, so that is how we're going to end things today. There was a lot of things that were dropped from Jenna that hopefully you guys took notes on. If you have to go back and watch the recording, then do that. The recording's going to be up here on YouTube. I'm not taking it down. I'm not fucking leaving. All right, it's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And so yeah, Jenna, thank you so much. We appreciate you for being here. Thanks for everything that you do for the Trade House. Thank you to SJ as well. And I look forward for you to come back on here, fairly soon, couple weeks or so. But yeah, I think everyone's excited to have you back on here. So thank you so much
for having me. Bye, guys.